Hello everyone. Today I'm actually making this video in response to a comment that I got from one of my viewers. And it's never actually occurred to me to test these two. Like, what is actually the difference between Kryonaut Extreme and the regular Kryonaut? Besides the, let me see if I can do this with one hand. Yep, I can. Besides the color being different, as you can tell there. Yep. The extreme version has got these this pinkish hue to it. But besides that, I mean, like, is there a performance difference, like as far as like thermal conductivity? That's what this video is going to be about today. We're going to be trying these two pastes on my little Frankenstein 1660 Super. Look at this beauty. Yes, even the cables are all Frankensteined together. When I got it, it came with a broken PCI slot. It was chipped really bad, the poor thing. So I did what any logical person would do. I put some epoxy glue under that tooth there that was sticking out, and now it works. It works perfectly, actually. The only thing is that I don't have a shroud and fans for this thing. Pretty sad. So the fans are constantly at 100%. Luckily though, these fans are 80mm, but they're very quiet. Be quiet. So even though they are connected to the board, they're not PWM fans. These are actually 3-pin fans. So I don't want to keep mumbling around. Let's get into the video first. We're going to take this apart, see what the thermal paste looks like in here. I don't remember what thermal paste I originally assembled this card with. It might have been with this stuff. Not this stuff, but this stuff here. Because lately that's what I've been using. Okay. Oh man, I shouldn't do this because you probably, this is the time when people should start to click and, go watch something else. I start mumbling around. But this is what I've been doing when I repair cards, like graphics cards, you know what I mean? Instead of buying that cheap stuff from eBay or AliExpress, I actually use Thermalright TF4, or for the more expensive cards like 4090 or whatever, like premium cards, I give them a little bit more love, and TF7 or Kryonaut, the regular Kryonaut, that is this stuff here. But if a customer requests a specific thermal paste, I can accommodate for that too, because I do repair graphics cards, in case you guys did not know that already. So anyway, let's take this apart and see what thermal paste it's under the hood. Alright, so let's see what we got here. And the reason I picked this card in particular is because, again, like I said, the fans are always running at 100%. So I expect equal results, like consistent results in both scenarios between the two pastes. What I wanted to do was run the card with the existing paste and see how it does. But what if the stuff that's on here, it's Kryonaut and I forgot which paste it was. No, this actually looks like it's this stuff looks like it is MX6 just by the texture. It might be MX6. I don't know. Anyway, let's get rid of this stuff here. Start with this thing and see how we go, or how we do. And okay, all right, fellas. Another thing is that I don't advertise this because it's kind of pointless, but I do use a different chemical Nothing special about this. It's a actually a chemical that here in Norway they use for like removing the the sludge from winter. Like during winter, you know, there's all kinds of stuff in the pavement and on the roads, so they use this stuff to wash the engine, like get rid of that gunky stuff. If you live in Norway or here in Scandinavia, it's something like this here. It's petroleum based, so you can smell the petroleum in it. But it does wonders when it comes to removing thermal paste or thermal pads. When not the thermal pads, but when the thermal pads are very like stubborn and they don't want to, they leave that residue behind. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about or not, but they do leave some residue behind on the memory chips, and you want to get rid of that stuff. This stuff right here, like really does the job. Like, yeah. So it's good stuff, but you have to like you cannot just wipe it off with tissue. You have to use alcohol. Don't pick it up just with tissue alone. You have to use alcohol to get rid of the stuff, because yeah, I recommend that you do. But if you see now, like that heat sink looks super clean. I like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of this. Bring this back into frame. We'll start with Kryonaut. And we're going to put a modest amount on there. And it's a good thing that we're using this here, because generally speaking, the smaller the die, the harder it is to cool. Because all that heat, it's focused in one small central area. So the better your cooling solution is, the better it will perform under these circumstances. Let's put a dot right in the middle here and let that be spread by the weight of the heatsink. And that ought to fix all that there. All right, let's put this thing back together, throw it in the test bench, and see how it performs for 30 minutes under using Valley benchmark. You know, I was thinking about just doing this like these tests right here. I would very much prefer to do this all off camera, right? But I want you guys to get the full experience, so that you know that I'm not just BSing you guys, you know, and doing funny stuff in the background, and yeah, like saying, like using a different paste, or you know, trying to manipulate the results. No, here you get it raw. None of these companies like support me or pay me to say or do anything for them. They suck. Just kidding. Yeah, so these are my own subjective opinions. All right, let's get this in the system there and see how it does for 30 minutes. Full fan speed, and see what the temperatures look like. And I'll show you guys right now what else I'm going to like under what parameters we're going to be working with. All right, hang tight. Okay, so we got the little card installed in the system now. There you are. And it's pretty silent. Yep, pretty quiet, so I like that. Even though the fans are spinning at 100%, they're still pretty silent. As you can see here, I am unable to get any like fan information, because like for example, you see that right here, as soon as this, like the temperatures here go up, this will change. Like I'll show you. This is so like yeah, off. Let's run. Yeah, we'll do this here real quick, just to get the card going. So we're running a Valley benchmark really fast, just to show you guys what I mean. So like the fan reading is very, like, there you go, see that, like it just jumps all over the place because it, like, the board doesn't know how to read that, like it's just, yeah. So anyway, okay, getting that out of the way, don't trust this. Like, as far as the card is concerned, there is nothing is installed here. This is just all messed up. Anyway, so here's the idea. Since the fans are spinning at a fixed RPM, what we're gonna do this time, I am not going to mess with, let's see, let's go here. Yeah, okay, touring. Okay, so I am not going to push the power limit. I'm not going to lock anything at all. I'm not going to mess with anything like I have done in my previous videos, because I had a couple of you guys actually like wondering what would make, like would you guys want to see actual like translation into like performance, like what would better thermal paste translate into better overall performance. So today's idea is that I'm gonna run this for 30 minutes, and the idea is going to be that, like, here with GPU-Z, bear with me guys, I know this is kind of maybe mumbling around, but it is important, so I thought I'll bring it up. With GPU-Z, you have the option here to go to, like, if you can see that here, minimum, max, and average. Okay, so I'm going to record all that, and we're going to get the average frequency, the average, yeah, we'll go with the average. Also, we'll get the average memory clock, average temperature, that's what we're going to be looking at the end of the test, and the average hotspot temperature. Okay, so we're going to go with average, not what the max was, not what the minimum is, or none of that. As I want to present this to you guys as you guys will see it if you were doing it in your own, like at home, and you slap this thermal paste and you turn on your card and you start running video games. Like, is this going to help you in any way, shape, or form? And yeah, so we'll be focusing on the averages for frequency, memory clock, and temperature, and hotspot. And also, like, I will, since I am running, like, I'll show you right now. You see this this area here? Okay, I'm going to reset that, and that'll give us an average FPS here. So at the end of 30 minutes, we will see not only what our frequency is, what our hotspot and all that other stuff, the average of everything, but also the average of FPS. So if the thermal paste does anything at all to help, performance, not just temperatures, but how does that translate into performance? If it's just 1 or 2 extra FPS, you know what I'm saying? So we'll be able to see that here, and also with our GPU-Z tool here. Okay, so let's get into the benchmarking. I'll stop my mumbling around. I'll get the let me shut this down. Start fresh, 30 minutes. I'm going to run it at 1080p here. Okay, so we're gonna run this in windowed mode, and let's go here and then run. Get this puppy in the background, get this in the foreground. Let's reset and just untick all these here. All right, and we're also going to reset this one. There we go. All right, I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. All right, fellas, so we've reached the end of this test. We see the numbers there on the screen, and I will post a graph. I will create a graph for you guys that like graphs at the end of the video so that you can step back and look at the whole, the big picture. But so far these are our results. So let's go ahead and move on to Thermal Grizzly Kryonaut Extreme now. And oh boy, I can tell you this thing is toasty. It is hot. So let's get this removed here. And I want to do this on camera so you guys can see the thermal paste spread, so that you guys can have that peace of mind that it was done correctly. So it did spread correctly. And man, look at that. That looks beautiful. Look at that imprint. It don't get better than that, I'll tell you that. That is perfect. Okay, let's get this prepped up and ready for testing. Let's clean this up. You guys that are still watching this for whatever reason, I don't know why, instead of just moving forward to the end of the video where I will post the graphs, I'll throw this little tip, this bit of information that you may not know about what's going on here. This thermal paste, Thermal Grizzly Kryonaut, there's been a lot of debate about its longevity. A lot of people on Reddit, they get on Reddit and they start throwing numbers around like, oh, it lasted me for 6 months, oh, it lasted me for a year, and then I had to replace the thermal paste and blah blah blah. The truth is somewhere in the middle, to be honest, from my own personal experience. But a big factor, that I've noticed from doing this for many years and from using this paste for quite some time now, a big factor has been the cooling solution and your application, like how you apply it. Because if you apply too much, it'll, you'll be wasting thermal paste. If you apply too little, you create a thin coat thinking that that's what you're supposed to do. Don't apply too much, because there's a misconception out there that too much thermal paste is bad. That's not the case. And so people go and apply too little thermal paste, and that thin layer will eventually, sorry for the background noise, but that thin layer may not be enough. And so you end up with having to reapply another coat about a year later. So you have to be generous. When you apply thermal paste, you have to be generous. Too much thermal paste will never hurt you, but too little thermal paste will. It will definitely hurt. So make sure that when you are applying this stuff, that you are very generous, that you are consistent, and don't be too afraid of putting enough. Or I wouldn't throw a big blob on here and have it squish all over the silicone, I wouldn't go that far, but you have to be generous. You have to put a good amount of this stuff on there, otherwise, nah, there's a lot of misinformation out there on Reddit, so take whatever you read on there with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, just be careful. Like, these guys just, they have their own opinions, and they have a bad experience, and they run to, cry their lungs out on Reddit and make claims, absurd claims like, oh no, this stuff is horrible, it only lasts for this amount of time, don't buy it, blah blah blah. But in reality, it's not product fault, it's user fault. As the user to blame. 9 out of 10 times, that's like that's been the case when I've gone on there and I've read what people are saying. From my experience, it's like I quickly picked that up. It's like, no, buddy, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know exactly why it's happening. You know, in the certain situations, of course, because I have made the same mistake, and you know, they still have a long way learning curve when it comes to this stuff. And but that's the way it is. I'm not the know-it-all when it comes to this stuff either, but I do have some experience, and I like to think I know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go ahead and put this thing back together now. And the reason why I wanted to do this paste last is because this stuff is not cheap. Also, another thing you need to remember, Thermal Grizzly Kryonaut Extreme is for, it was made for extreme overclocking, okay? The chemical composition, the stuff that this stuff is made out of, it was put together with extreme overclocking in mind. That means liquid nitrogen, you know, dry ice, very low temperature, so the paste doesn't crack, doesn't lose its thermal conductivity. Also, longevity was in mind when they made this stuff, so that's another thing. And of course, thermal conductivity goes along with that just by default. So yeah, okay, so not enough thermal paste can be a bad thing, and too much thermal paste is not bad. It's just you might just be wasting it, you know. So use common sense. All right, let's put this back in the system and see how it goes. All right, so we now have the little card in the system. Let's go ahead and focus on the screen here. I could have done this with a capture card, but no, I wanted to use my camera so that you guys can get the best of both worlds. All right, so 1660 Super, your, you know, default parameters. Let's go ahead and open up Valley Benchmark, and we're gonna run it again at 1080p windowed mode. All right, guys, I'll see you in 30 minutes and we'll get the averages for both. Alrighty, okay, so we've reached the end of this benchmark. As far as our average FPS here, at this point we've stayed at, oh, okay, 104. We just jumped to 104. And our average, when it comes to frequency, memory clock, GPU temperature, and core hotspot, there's a lot to unpack here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the graph, because I was actually not expecting this much of difference. Again, I have never tested these two, you know, to see what the difference is between the two products. And I am blown away. Okay, so let's go to the graph and unpack all this information. All right, guys, so let's just talk a little bit about what I discovered with this little test. Now, this is not a margin of error. If we were just looking at one, you know, if we were just looking at one measurement, you know, if we were just measuring one thing, then okay, we can say that that was just a margin of error. You know, there's a little bit of play there. But when you look at the three aspects of the big picture, when you look at the big picture here, frames per second, you gain 1 extra frames per second with the extreme version, okay, versus the Kryonaut, the regular Kryonaut, and 2 extra FPS in the minimum, from 59 to 61, and 4 extra FPS on the max from 190 to 194. Okay, this may seem insignificant to you. Now remember, I did not tinker with any any like adjusting any fan speed or the card was just as stock as it could be. Okay, with the fans just set to max speed and that's it. So what was very significant is this. This here I did not expect. I did not see this coming. Wow. The temperature difference it's significant. Like, okay, so on our core with the regular Kryonaut, we see that we average 66.7 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is our average. All right. With the Kryonaut Extreme version, we average 62.5 Celsius. That's a big drop, and this is not just margin of error. This is significant. At our hot spot, look at this, from 79 Celsius, almost 80, to 74.4. So this stuff here obviously is doing something. Wow. You know what? And this is actually coming from, this idea actually came from a one of my viewers. He just, you know, he said, hey, what about the Kryonaut Extreme versus the regular Kryonaut? And I thought, wait a minute, I have actually never put these two head to head. You know, like I've tested, you know, both of them with different products, but not in the same category. And man, there's a huge difference. And you guys saw in the video, I didn't tinker with how much or, you know, thermal paste or anything. It was just it just went on there as it should. And I am stumped by this, like the big difference in temperature. So for me, this is very impressive, I have to say. And I'm in a way, I'm not too impressed because, or surprised. I'm not too surprised because I added this. I replaced the original thermal paste that came on my RX 7900 XTX graphics card with the Extreme version with this stuff here, and my temperatures dropped by, I think it was like 20 or 15 Celsius or something like that. I have a video on my channel about it, and you guys can check it out if you like. So yeah, I know this stuff is really, really, really good. And as far as longevity, yes, it is. I've had it running on 2080 graphics card that's doing folding at home for over a year now. Temperatures are exactly the same. This thing runs 24/7, and it just doesn't change. And it does, you know, cold hot every couple of hours because it receives a new workload every couple of hours, and so it cools off and then it starts all over. So that cool down and, you know, that aspect is also there, and yet the temperatures are still the same. So this stuff is really good. I don't want to prop it up because, you know, there might be something else out there that's probably better than this, but this stuff is excellent for the price. It is expensive, but well, you guys saw it live. I don't know what else to tell you, what else to bring to you. Now, as far as like performance wise, this is a stock. Remember that. So if you wanted to do a little bit of overclocking, you now have the headroom. That's all I want to say. I'm going to leave this video here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It helps the channel out. And leave me a comment in the comment section. If you guys liked the video, hit thumbs up. If you didn't for whatever reason, because it sucked, then you know what to do. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.